This has been the most pathetic manhunt ever. Finally, after 45 hours, the Met Police have managed to find Hadush Kebatu, the Ethiopian migrant who was staying at the Bell Hotel in Epping and sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl. He was then at HMP Chelmsford and was accidentally just released out onto the streets, free to walk away. It is absolutely comical what has happened in the last 45 hours. And more seriously, also scary that we have had a paedophile let free to roam the streets. This guy was not somebody who was desperately trying to hide from the police. He has been walking about in public. He was caught, for example, let's look back to yesterday where he was just caught walking about on the streets in Chelmsford, belongings in a plastic bag, chatting to locals, asking for directions. Then we heard from a delivery driver at the prison who said he was there for 90 minutes begging prison staff to tell him where the hell he was supposed to go to be deported. They gave him no directions whatsoever, and then finally directions to the train station.
He wanted to do the right thing and go to the right place. He knew he was getting deported, but he didn't know where he was going or how he was going to get there.
And then the Met, in a desperate plea after barely any updates at all yesterday, begged him to just hand himself in.
You had already indicated a desire to return to Ethiopia when speaking to immigration staff. The best outcome for you is to make contact directly with us by either calling 999 or reporting yourself to a police station.
They saw him at all sorts of different train stations on CCTV. They saw him openly hanging about, asking members of the public and train station staff for help and directions. This is a man who's left prison, who clearly has no phone on him, who's been given no directions from the prison staff. He's saying, I'm being deported, where the hell do I go? And he's trying to figure out where to go. I am convinced this guy genuinely did not realise that there is a manhunt underway to find him. He had no phone to even see the news. And he went to the library, presumably, possibly because he wanted to get onto a computer to try and figure out what he needs to do to go where he needs to go. And they released this CCTV last night of him in the library. And he's moved up in the world because he's now got an avocado tote bag rather than a plastic bin liner for his belongings. But what was a bit strange about that is they're desperately trying to find this guy. They say this is a serious manhunt, yet when they give us that piece of information to try and help the public give them information, they don't even tell us that that is at the library. They just say it's somewhere in Dalston, that staircase. It's not until Patrick Christie's on Twitter figures out that this is Dalston Library that we realise where the guy actually is. So you could see him walking up the stairs, but when the Met Police posted that video, they said he was spotted on CCTV in Dalston around 6 p.m. last night. They didn't tell people it was the library to help people who were at the library at that time give them information. It's absolutely laughable. So the Met Police have found him finally 45 hours after. He's had 45 hours just walking about in public. He's on London CCTV all over the place. It's taking them this long. They found him in Finsbury Park around 8:30 a.m. this morning after members of the public gave them information. He is going back to prison. I figured it was likely that he would be in the Finsbury Park area because Finsbury Park is one of the areas in London that has a very big Ethiopian community. I figured that is what he would probably try and do, is go to one of the areas where there's a big Ethiopian community. It's been very cold the past couple of nights and we don't know, has he been sleeping in the freezing cold in Finsbury Park? Or did somebody give him somewhere to put his head down for the night? Or maybe when he went to the library at Dalston yesterday evening, maybe he was going on the computer to look up hotels, to book somewhere to stay. Maybe he stayed in a hotel, but they didn't recognise him when he came in the hotel. It's just shocking. And the police have the audacity to say in their statement, this has been a diligent and fast-paced investigation. I'm sorry, diligent and fast-paced. It's taken you 45 hours to find this man. He was let out of prison early in the morning 2 days ago. You didn't find out until 12:57 p.m. that day, after he'd already got on a train to London at 12:41 p.m. that the guy had even accidentally been released. And since then, it has been a snail pace operation. This guy is not hiding. This isn't like when Daniel Khalif escaped from prison. That was he was a trained army guy who knew how to hide in the bushes in the park and survive on nothing. He actually escaped from prison, okay? He conducted a sneaky operation to escape underneath a food delivery van. Okay, let me tell you, this guy, Hadush Kebatu, he is no genius whatsoever. He is just wandering around lost. And as I said, I think he had no idea there was a manhunt for him. He was begging the prison to tell him where to go. He wasn't let out the door and then he ran off. He hung around there for nearly 2 hours, begging them to tell him where to go. He was actually, I'm not saying this is a good guy, he's a bad guy because of the crimes he committed in Epping, but he was trying to actually do the right thing by the looks of it and go to the deportation centre. He said himself to authorities that he actually wants to go back to Ethiopia. So it's not like he's trying to desperately avoid deportation. People have just been watching this in just absolute bafflement. Carl Benjamin said, "I can't stop watching this story. It's like a rapist Mr. Bean. He tried to turn himself in, got kicked out of prison. Now he's wandering the streets aimlessly as they try and fail to catch him. It's so absurd. It's comical." Paul Joseph Watson says this guy's walking around London wearing prison clothes, getting caught on CCTV every 5 minutes, and they still can't catch her. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely laughable, this story, and also serious as well, that there was an actual paedophile walking about the streets. Now, this is a very high profile case, so it's been all over the news, hasn't it? But actually, what we're finding out is that it's actually quite common that people accidentally get released from prison. There is a lot of incompetence going on, and in fact, the number of people accidentally released from prison has doubled in the space of a year. It's now about 250 people a year accidentally let out of prison. So, welcome to Broken Britain. No border control, no border security, and no prison security, it would seem. What a joke. I'm Chloe Dobbs. That is the latest update. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below for more news updates.